Welcome to the Business Finance Bulletin, episode 139. The latest Business Finance Bulletin with me, Rob Warlow from Business Loan Services. In this bulletin, mixed messages on business confidence, the Bank Referral Scheme, and if you let out your own commercial premises, watch out for this. Well, let's start this bulletin by taking a look at another familiar theme which is coming out over the last couple of months, and that's business confidence. Yes, with everything that's going on in Europe and globally generally, the feeling amongst the media is that businesses are feeling very depressed and very low. But mixed messages are coming out. Certainly with the small business owners that we interact with here at BLS, we're getting very positive signs about how businesses are feeling about confidence levels and the economy going forward. And this mixed messages is being borne out in a survey that's just come out by the Federation for Small Businesses as part of their quarterly Small Business Confidence Index. Now the survey just come out for quarter 3 and it reaffirms these mixed messages. First of all, confidence levels amongst business owners has been slipping consistently for the last 3 quarters. So it shows that their confidence levels are beginning to decline a bit. But mixed messages are then coming as regards how they are feeling about growth. So for example, 55% of the small businesses surveyed said that they have aspirations to grow over the next 12 months. Many of them said they are looking to hire additional staff over the next quarter. And also when it comes to access to finance, which was always had been seen as the biggest barrier to growth, many of them are saying access to finance is getting easier and availability of funding is also getting easier. So once we enter this difficult period, the last quarter, certainly for many businesses, always see an uptick in trade. As we enter this last quarter, it's about trying to keep that confidence levels up because clearly not everything is doom and gloom. So watch out what you read in the media. If you've been a regular viewer of this bulletin, you will recall over the last 18 months or so, periodically, I've mentioned something called the Bank Referral Scheme. Now, this is something that the government brought up approximately 18 months ago, really at the height when they were trying to get banks to lend more money to small businesses and improve access to finance. And the government at the time came up with the idea of a Bank Referral Scheme, whereby banks would be forced or legislated to pass introductions to third-party firms where the bank have said, we can't help you, but here's a name and a number of someone who may be able to help. Have a chat with them. Well, this scheme is starting to take some shape, and a couple of months ago the British Business Bank, who are overseeing the scheme on behalf of the government, pointed 3 platforms that banks would have to refer to, namely funding options, funding exchange and buy for tech. Now these are aggregators. They'll sit there as mass super brokers, and the banks will then be forced to pass on introductions if you as a small business owner says that you approve, pass details to those platforms and they will go and source finance for you. Well, the latest news is that this scheme is now going to be going live over the next quarter. Obviously it's been a big logistical nightmare putting everything together. So it will be interesting to see how that performs. So watch out, and don't forget, if a bank in the next quarter does say to you, can we pass you on to somebody? Your decision to say yes, I would love to, in order to get the finance that I need. Here's a little tip and something to watch out for if you previously had a commercial mortgage to buy the premises that you operate from. Now, we had an interesting call this week from a business owner who got into a bit of trouble. A few years ago, he bought his own premises where his business was trading from and got a commercial mortgage from a bank. Thing is, about 2 years ago, he decided to vacate that premises and let it to a third party. So essentially, he now became a commercial landlord. Problem was, he didn't ask for permission from the bank, which is always there in the small print. And as a result, when the bank found out, because he needed to ask permission in order to create the lease, the bank turned around and said, well, yes, we can, but the nature of the deal has changed and therefore we need to increase the interest rate on your commercial mortgage. And it wasn't a small increase either, it was quite a significant jump. And so he came to us to see if we could get a better deal in the marketplace for him. So the thing here to remember is that when you get a commercial mortgage, when you are an owner occupier, the interest rate is very different from that offered to a commercial property investor. the risk is different from the bank's point of view. So obviously the first thing you need to do is to seek consent from the bank when you are changing it from owner occupied to investment, in order to have this discussion up front about what the interest rate will be, to save you getting hijacked a few years later when the bank found out. And the same goes, by the way, for your residential premises as well. Many people have residential mortgages, but the pricing is different for buy-to-let. So there's a little tip there. Just watch out and be aware. And if you do get into problems like that, of course, just give us a ring or drop us a line, info@businessloanservices.co.uk, and we'd be happy to have a chat with you. Well, that's it for this bulletin. Thanks very much for being with me. As always, don't forget, if you're watching on the video version, there is a podcast version available on iTunes, SoundCloud and Stitcher. All you have to do, go to those channels and search out for a Business Finance Bulletin. And if you are listening on the podcast version, pop along to YouTube. Just search for Rob Warlow, and there you will see this video and all past episodes and many other videos as well, with tips and ideas on raising finance and dealing with banks. Well, thanks very much. I look forward to being with you in the next bulletin. Have a great, successful and profitable week. Bye-bye now.